Have you ever felt something great stirring inside you? A goal so close you could almost reach out and touch it. The rush that moment brings, that strange wave of joy. And did you feel the urge to run and tell everyone around you right away? What happened next? Most of the time, the moment that goal is spoken aloud, it begins to quietly fade. You may have noticed this, but never quite understood why. Your talent was intact. Your intention was real. Yet somehow that energy, that first spark, got lost somewhere between the words. Because success, while still a seed, does not want to be brought out into the sun. It needs to take root in the dark first. Let me take you back to a time of stone walls and cobblestone streets. To a small kingdom nestled between dark forests and misty hills. And to a young man who lived there, named Uldrich. Uldrich was apprenticed to the village blacksmith. He had strong arms, but it was his heart that was truly powerful. Every week a new flame ignited in his chest. One week he dreamed of forging the finest sword in the kingdom. The next week he wanted to build his own forge. Then he swore he would become the kingdom's master smith. This ambition was a beautiful thing. A real thing. But Uldrich had a habit he wasn't aware of. Before he had struck a single hammer blow, he would run to the village square. He would climb up onto the old fountain and shout, "Listen to me. I will forge a sword so great that the king himself will kneel before it." The villagers would stop. They would clap. They would cheer. They called him bold, called him destined for greatness. And Uldrich would spend that night like a lord, chest swelling, spirit full, but when morning came and the anvil waited cold and silent, his arms simply would not rise. The fire in his chest had died out along with the applause he had left behind in the village square. Days passed. A month passed. He never struck that first spark. Then a new idea would arrive. A new crowd. "I will build the largest forge in the province. My name will echo in every hall." Again the applause. Again that familiar warmth. Again the feeling of having already succeeded. And again, when the time came to work, he was hollow inside. This cycle became his life. He was producing words, but no work. His hands stayed empty. His anvil gathered rust. And inside him, with every passing season, a weight grew heavier, a weight he could not name. Why did his success always die? One evening, Uldrich sat outside the village gate staring at the forest. His thoughts were scattered. He could make no sense of his own life. Just then an old man approached. A retired master who lived alone in a small hut beyond the fields, a man who rarely came down to the village. When he did, people spoke of him with quiet respect, because that man did not talk. He only did that. He sat down beside Uldrich. Without hurry, without judgment, he asked, "Son, why do you carry such a heavy shadow?" Uldrich sighed. "I dream of success. But nothing I begin ever lives. I don't know what is wrong with me." The old man stayed silent for a moment. Then he asked, "When a new goal comes to you, what is the first thing you do?" "I tell everyone. I want them to see that I am meant for great things." The old man smiled. He gave no answer. He only said, "Come with me at dawn tomorrow." The next morning the old man led him to his small, modest forge. It was a shelter of stone and wood, plain, quiet, with something that drew you in. On the workbench sat two identical pieces of raw iron. The old man held one out to Uldrich and said one thing, "Take this iron. Work it in secret. Heat it in the coals, hammer it, fold it. Tell no one. When it has taken the shape of a blade, come back to me." Uldrich nodded and took the iron. Then the old man lifted the second piece. He walked to the village path where children were playing. He held it up. "Look, children. This iron will become the sharpest blade ever forged. Come and see what I will make." The children clapped and gathered around him. The old man smiled, set the iron down on a wooden post by the well, and walked away. Days passed. Every evening after the master had gone, Uldrich took his place beside his small, hidden fire. He heated the iron in the coals. He hammered it. He folded it and heated it again. He said not a word to anyone. On the other side of the village, the old man's iron still sat on that post. Rain fell on it, sun beat down on it. A thin layer of rust began to creep across its surface. No hammer ever touched it. No fire ever did. Not once. 2 weeks later, Uldrich knocked on the old man's door carrying a rough blade, raw, but shaped by patient hands. The old man took it. He felt its weight. He examined its edge. He nodded. Then he pointed to the piece on the post. It was crusted with rust, and running alongside it was a deep, ugly crack. It was no longer fit for any blade. The old man spoke slowly. "Iron needs fire and hammer to grow strong. It needs darkness and patience. While it finds its soul, it must be worked in secret, in silence. What happens when you bring it out too soon, when you boast of it before it is ready? It rusts. It cracks. And it never becomes what it was meant to be." Uldrich stared at the rusted iron. He stared for a long time. Something was shifting inside his chest, and the name of the heavy burden he had carried for years was slowly becoming clear. The old man continued, "When you speak your success too early, You taste the reward before you have earned it. The praise of others satisfies your mind. Your mind begins to believe the work is already done. And the fire you needed to take action burns out in the applause. Your success dies, not because it was impossible, but because you fed it to the crowd instead of the forge. Uldrich's face flushed. He remembered exactly how each announcement had felt, each shout from the fountain. As though he had already succeeded. But it was only the shadow of success. Applause had become his reward, and a man who has already received his reward has no need to finish the work. The old man placed a hand on his shoulder. His voice was gentle. Goals are fragile when they are born. Just like new seedlings. Don't expose them to the wind yet. Let them grow in the quiet fire. When the blade is ready, the whole village will see its edge. You won't need to announce it. That night Uldrich thought for a long time. And he made a decision. He would choose one single goal. A simple hunting knife, something small, nothing grand. And this time he would tell no one. Every evening after his work at the village forge was done, he stayed behind. He said nothing of his plan. He simply worked. Some nights the fire refused to catch. Some nights he struck his own thumb instead of the steel and spent the night in pain. But because no one knew, no one asked, no one waited. The only weight on his shoulders was the weight of the work, not the weight of watching eyes. And that difference changed everything. Days turned into weeks. The blade slowly took shape. He made mistakes, went back, corrected them. The metal grew strong. It smoothed out. It straightened. When the knife was finished, Uldrich held it in his hands. He held it for a long time. Inside him was something he had never known before. Not the hot, fleeting pride he had felt when he shouted from the square, nor the momentary fullness that applause had brought. This was quieter. Deeper. The pride of something real, something built with patience, in secret. For no one but himself. One morning a knight passing through the village noticed the knife sitting on Uldrich's bench. He picked it up, held it to the light, examined its edge. Who made this? The balance is perfect. Uldrich smiled quietly. I did. The knight raised an eyebrow. I heard no boasting about it. I wanted to finish it first. Word spread, but slowly, on its own. After the knife came a sword, then a shield. Each time Uldrich told no one, worked in silence. When the metal was ready, he let it speak for itself, without needing its maker's words. Years passed. Uldrich came to be known as the finest smith in the village, not because he had declared his intentions at the top of his lungs, but because his work spoke louder than any words ever could. He never climbed the fountain again. He only placed what he had finished where the world could see it. His success no longer died. In the quiet, calm fire of daily effort, in the nights no one knew about. It had grown in secret. Now turn to your own life. How many times have you spoken a goal aloud and felt the energy slowly drain away in that very moment of telling? How many dreams did you bring into the sun too early, only to watch them wither? When you speak your success, you scatter its power. You allow the approval of others to take the place of your own labor. You hand the iron over to rust before it has ever tasted the flame. Keep your goals close. Let them grow in the dark. Let them take root, grow strong, take shape. The world does not need to hear what you are building. It only needs to see what you have built. The next time that urge rises in your chest, the urge to proclaim victory, to tell everyone, to seek applause before the work is done, stop. Just for a moment. Stay silent. Let the iron meet the fire in secret. When the blade is finished, everyone will see its edge. You won't need to say a single word. If this story touched something inside you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories that change the way we see life. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, stay